Welcome back to the ESPN HOOPS and Hits podcast presented by Tab. I am the Scope, joined by my man, the Grub, and it was all-star weekend over the weekend, Grub, and some pros, some cons, people happy, people not happy, a weird format. Plenty to discuss with the NBA and the all-star weekend, but how was your weekend, mate?
It was great. Footy's back.
Footy's back.
That's what I enjoyed watching that.
All-stars in the rugby league as well?
Wow. I'm going to tie something into a topic we're talking about today from the NRL. About
well, at least we're competitive in the NRL as well with the way we go after
competitive.
It. Compared to what's happening in the NBA and in the NFL a couple of weeks ago on the Pro Bowl.
Cries. That's what we got to do.
There we go.
You know what I mean?
I like where you're going there. So we'll have all the reactions from the NBA All-Star Weekend. There has been some debate after Kevin Durant got 30K points throughout the week. Is he top 10 overall? We'll go through that. Believe it or not, we've got Aaron Rodgers again at this time of the year. The New York Jets are not keen on Aaron Rodgers. We'll discuss. Travis Kelce, is he finished after the Super Bowl? There's some cuts to be made and some salary cap that needs to be freed up for Kansas City, and he could be the player that misses out. Are the Cowboys a Super Bowl contender? Dak Prescott has been talking crazy recently.
Is that a G up?
Should the Rams trade Stafford? And if they do, somehow the Giants have been linked. And a special Pick-6 because Luca's first game will be against the Mavs. So we'll get into that. That'll be a huge game. And I think Benyam's going to come in and help us discuss everything around that Lakers-Mavs coming up. All right, let's get to Left on Red. This is where we rely on you guys to help us build the show. And we're going to kick it off with Mac champion, basketball dunk champion, all-star Mac McClung. If you're not familiar, G League player, but dunk comp champion now, 3 years running.
The Mac Attack. The White Flight, they call him.
White Flight.
That's his nickname, the White Flight.
I like it.
Move over, Blake Griffin. You're done, mate. I know you done the car.
Yeah.
But he's done it over the Kia.
The Kia?
I like the Kias too, looking for a sponsor, by the way.
Okay,
but
yeah.
That's
reach out to us.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Nearly rolled his ankle.
Yeah.
That
bad rank landing.
That was terrible. He would have absolutely been nervous. But look, A+ for the creativity.
Yep.
I think it's awesome. We're speaking about, the All-Star weekend and pros and cons. I still like the dunk contest because the Mac puts work into this.
Yeah.
He's won 3 years straight. He was saying in his interview he was training for about 9 months for this. And I like that. It's not turning up. And
it's a lot of preparation.
It's a lot of prep. And, well, for the Mac, that's his big stage,
that's
right?
Yeah.
He's in the G League. But I've read a few comments saying that the Mac is possibly taking over Vince Carter. Hold the horses.
Yeah. Okay.
Not the Don Vince. He's the most aggressive man, the most aggressive dunker I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't care about people say it's all about the creativity and what he's done. No. For me, it's the aggression of the dunk.
The aggression, the airtime.
Yep.
Shout out to Mac McClung. Look, you could argue that he's probably a better dunker and could be doing this stuff promotionally around to build the game because this is his bread and butter.
Yep.
G League play, which is no mean feat as well. Like you get the opportunity to get to G League, you're doing really well as a basketball player. But the part that I've loved off the back of it, and people have been talking about, is the dunk contest finished? Because do we want to see the best possible dunkers or do we need star players? And because Mac has now gone back to back, Ja Morant got all over X and Twitter, and he mentioned that maybe he wants to get back in and do it next year.
Ooh.
And then he threw it out there to other NBA stars. He tagged Aaron Gordon. He tagged Zach LaVine. For me, the best dunk contest in the last 10 years. Those two going head-to-head against each other about 5 or 6 years ago now, it feels like.
That was unbelievable.
That was a really good battle. Zach LaVine responded, he's keen if Ja's in. And even Giannis said, if Ja's in, I'll do it as well. So, if anything, has come from this and Mac McClung, carrying the dunk contest for the last 3 years. He's now got the interest of some of the stars, which I think will bring even more eyeballs to the dunk contest.
And that's what we want. You spoke about pros and cons. That's what we want.
Yeah.
We want the players to actually want to do these things, not rock up and walk on the court. And we're gonna delve into that a little bit more.
We'll get into more of that
yeah, that's
All-Star game.
just. But good on him. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't ditching him, by the way. Like Mac to Mac to Mac.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, great
Good
stint.
on him, man.
That's his bread and butter. All right, let's move on to LeBron James pulling out of the All-Star game a few hours before it started. Is it selfish or what, Grub? He could have said this earlier and they could have added someone. Team Shaqs wins the new tournament style despite LeBron still pulling out. The OGs get the job done. Grub or no grub, LeBron James pulling out.
I'm going to say no grub.
Why?
Because I know you would want me to say grub. No, but I will say, if there's one advocate for the All-Stars weekend, it's LeBron. He's always played.
Yeah.
He's always there. He's always there.
Got the record.
Promoting. There you go.
Yep.
I actually think this one, there's got to be something actually wrong with him. But I don't like being on the fence, but I understand if he had a niggling foot injury, he would have known. So, yeah, he should have maybe let someone go in.
That's fine. Exactly right. So if you were going into it with any concerns and you've been around in the league for a number of years now, let it known. Let some player who, we talked about plenty of snubs going in this, the opportunity to get an All-Star. Even if you do get in with someone withdrawing through injury, you still get the opportunity to be an All-Star, and that doesn't come around a lot. It's not guaranteed that you're going to have the season that you have now.
Yep.
So LeBron's taking a spot. And give me this, grub or no grub.
You are very
I'm going to double. So you gave him a no grub. Grub for still being involved in the picture. I don't know if you've seen this.
Oh, he's in the picture.
Street clothes. Everyone else is dressed up in kit. If you're going to have a photo with the team and you're out and be a part of the OG lineup, at least put the kit on. Like, I know his foot's sore.
Yeah, but he was very sore, the foot.
Yeah, come on, please. Chuck the kit on.
Man, you're forgetting he's 40, man.
How hard is it to put clothes on?
Cut him some slack, man. His foot
Change your kit.
was sore.
Change your kit, you
His
grub.
foot was sore.
Always above the game. Thinks he runs the league.
He does. Well, he does.
He
He does
pretty
run
much
the league.
has.
But like, okay, let's forget about our LeBron tiff.
Okay, all right, let's move on, LeBron.
What about the game itself? Is it too harsh to say? I think it's disgraceful.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. I think both formats in the Pro Bowl and the All-Star game has just become a bit of a joke. And as a fan that, sort of grew up with the All-Star game being competitive when I was younger, sort of missed those days. And again, we're going back to the LeBron. And even guys like Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony, who's my favourite player, have said it's their fault. It's their generation's fault. They didn't take it seriously. They started pulling up on it. And now it's got to the point where, of course, the younger players are going to come. LeBron James, he's their favourite player growing up.
Yep.
So whatever he decides to do, whatever he has done in the past, they're all going to want to do that. So we've got to the point now where I think there is one alternative which would bring out the competitive juices more than anything else. And we're across it. Giannis brought it up.
Yep.
A European versus potentially a North American battle in the All-Star game, because I think the Europeans would low-key start to school the Americans, and it might get competitive in the fourth quarter.
This is exactly what needs to happen. All we have to do is watch the NRL All-Stars on the weekend, two people representing their cultures. It's unbelievable. I love watching it. I just love watching both of those cultures having something to play for. And 100%, you Europeans or the rest of the world will want to. They got to come up against these cocky Americans every week in, week out.
I still think there's a disconnect between the Americans and everyone else.
For sure.
Aussies, Europeans, everyone else sort of looks at the Americans and the way they are a little bit and how cocky they can be. And it's just different culturally over there, for better or worse, for those players. And I think, Giannis has brought it up here. We have another message from Facebook, and this one comes from Nicholas Kazanas. One player from each team, a 5v5 tournament. So one player represented from every team in the NBA. Thoughts, yes or no?
No.
With you.
I just
Why?
don't. I just don't. Well, look, I've been thinking about this European, the game all morning since I knew we were talking about this topic. I like this. I like this concept, and I think it has to happen.
Yeah.
I think it'll spark it back up. It'll give the players something to actually play for, because East versus West, no one cares anymore.
No.
It's just the division you're in. But you're not telling me if you're representing Serbia, Croatia, Spain, Australia, if we can get an Aussie in there. It's going to mean something.
I just think the Europeans think that all the best talent, new like top tier talent, is coming from Europe at the moment.
Well, it is.
And also, there's all that chat around Adam Silver potentially trying to get this Champions League Europe competition going as well. Maybe it's not always in America as well.
Yeah.
Giannis tossed up, going to France, going to London, going to Greece. You mentioned Greece being a smaller country, but the opportunity to go back and forth, America one year, Europe the next.
That's awesome.
Or even down here in Australia.
Maybe we can go Hoops and Hits podcast.
I like the way you're thinking there.
Shabs, get us there.
Let's make it work.
Hey, also one thing that I would like to add to the All-Star Week that I liked about the women's NBA, one-on-one.
Yeah.
I like that. I really did like that.
Loved it.
Who you picking to win it?
Ooh, one-on-one. There's so many. I don't think there's a wrong answer with a lot of the top tier guys. Geez, Wemby, you'd think would be
Tough
almost
to beat.
Impossible to shoot over one-on-one.
Wemby versus Durant.
Yeah, Durant. You want to go the tall guys that can also
Tatum.
shoot.
I like Tatum.
Tatum,
One-on-one.
Tatum
Athletic.
as well. Yep.
Defends well.
But even like some of the smaller guys, like SGA would he's so quick and strong.
But can he hold out Wemby?
Luke is silky. Nah, probably not. Probably not. Probably the size factor is gonna.
I think the defensive side of it.
Yeah.
If you're mid-tier to high defense and a pretty good shooter, you're thereabouts.
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, the more you sort of talk about it, Kevin Durant, prime Kevin. Maybe Kevin Durant's getting a little bit older now too. 5 years ago, I think he's an obvious answer. LeBron's the other obvious answer.
Yep.
Like, when you, as much as he doesn't play defense, if it was a one-on-one competition and there's pride on the line,
ego,
he's going to go hard.
Oh, he's on,
and he's going to defensively just bully people. Like, he can take any of the big centers in the post. 3-point shot might be mid-range, not as strong, but he's going to take you and he's going to back you down, and he could probably dunk over Wemby or Durant or anyone.
Yep.
So, Giannis is another one. Giannis is
cool. He'd be tough.
Giannis would be crazy.
Actually, I think he'd be at least top 3 in the betting.
Yeah. All right. Are there any other suggestions for the All-Star that you think could work? Or are we happy to move on?
I'm happy with that. I like the one-on-one if they could bring that. And I really like America versus the rest of the world.
So do I.
Please, I hope they do
I'm with that. All right, let's move on to Facebook. And this one comes from Mark Barnes. He has what with the laughing emoji. It's not even close. And the next one is from Chris Watson. One of the best in the mid-range, 30K points. He's up there. So, two differing opinions. Is KD top 10 of all time?
Definitely not top 10. But I disagree with Mark. He's not even close. For me personally, I think he's top 20.
Yeah, he's top 20 range.
I think he sits in the top 20. But I agree with Chris. I think he is one of the best in the mid-range that I've seen.
Yeah.
We were speaking backstage about who we've actually seen.
Okay, so let's go through some names that get thrown up and I think would be locks. So we've got LeBron, Michael Jordan, Wilt, Kareem,
Larry,
Kobe, Larry Bird, that's 6. Shaq, the most dominant center of all time. Steph, for me, is a lock for top 10. I don't know. For some other people, that might not necessarily be the case. Tim Duncan. And then I reckon there are a number of guys that you could argue that the 10th position. So then is Kevin Durant, can you argue Kevin Durant over Hakeem Olajuwon, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler?
None of them. Well, for me, top 20, and I loved him, Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, Kevin Garnett, the big ticket.
I loved him.
Yeah,
I absolutely loved him, but not top 10, but definitely a top 20. But
yeah, Kevin, he was a dominant power forward for a long time. Yeah, and then you can go. There's probably so many people watching at home screaming names out at us.
Dirk Nowitzki.
Oh, I love Dirk.
Charles Barkley.
Charles, yes. So Charles
heaps,
never got.
mate.
Yeah,
Jeez,
you could go through a pretty strong list. So, with all that considered and some of the names that were thrown out, and then there's some we've even probably forgotten. Kevin Durant not top 10. I think if you try to go that I reckon the 10 to 20 range is harder than the 1 to 10 or the 1 to 8, 9.
You're right. Yeah.
All right, speaking of top 10, and this guy will be top 10 of all time, let's move on to my man, Aaron Rodgers, and this one comes from Twitter, and it's from Trainer111. It's sad because when Aaron Rodgers retires, folks are going to celebrate and dance because they didn't agree with his vaccine opinions and social beliefs, but make no mistake, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks in sports history. Jets are letting go of Rodgers. They had a meeting. It's been confirmed Aaron Glenn and the new GM at the Jets are happy to move on from Rodgers. And I agree with this as well. Although at the back end of his career, his reputation has been ruined, not necessarily all because of the vaccine and what he's done and his social beliefs and the way he acts, but these last couple of years just haven't gone the way the rest of his career's gone. So he's opened himself up to criticism.
Yep.
And that happens to everyone who tries to play late into their careers. But he still is one of the best of all time. And that's not even being biased. That's just telling it how it is.
I'm going to clap Trainer. That is that's one of my favourite comments we've had all year.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's right. And that's why I had a good think about this. That is why I'm off Rodgers. When I actually sit and think about the player, he's great. And I actually had a good think about this today. I was like, you know what? Get rid of all that. Yep. He's unbelievable.
All the rest of the carry on.
That's what I don't like. And that's why sometimes I can't relate to some of the American sportsmen, which is very different. And, because I feel we're a very humble, as Aussies, we tell, we thank our teammates a lot, but it's just all this other stuff with Rodgers.
I don't always think everything that's been reported about him is true as well.
Yeah,
now, there are people
that's
because
true as well.
There are also been people over the years, because he has been, before this whole Pat McAfee, you got to remember, people now have, because he's been on Pat McAfee now for the last, 4 or 5 years, going back to a couple of years in his 2 or 3 years at the end of the Packers, he used to be very hard to get for an interview. So therefore, he was prickly. Yep. Therefore, he didn't give a lot of people in the media access. And so there have been people that have targeted him over the years, talking about him being a bad teammate when other teammates have come out and publicly backed him. So, yes, there are pros and cons to sort of how public he has been recently. But I also think there's a number of porkies that have been thrown in that have not helped his legacy as well.
Agreed. But I will say, I feel this was inevitable for the Jets and Rodgers. They had to split. I think it's perfectly happened. What I am surprised in is him and his manager coming out and saying that he wants to keep going. I thought this would have been it. I honestly thought this would have been the end of Rodgers. But where does he go? I just had two quick thoughts.
Okay.
I'm going to throw on Pasha. Sam Darnold, after his last couple of games, I think the Vikings might be a bit shaky with him. Possibly there.
Makes sense. If he's following the Brett Favre arc, that he's played it exactly the same.
And Matty Stafford, if he goes to the Giants, slot into the Rams.
Well, even if Matty Stafford, and we're going to get to that in a bit, if he does move on because he's got his own salary cap issues there at the Rams, that would make sense. I think a good offense. The other one that seems pretty obvious and has been talked about is the situation with the quarterback at Pittsburgh Steelers. And Mike Tomlin over the last couple of years hasn't been able to fix that position. It's not going to fix it long term, but he did have a crack and a stab at both Justin Fields as a development quarterback and Russell Wilson, who we threw a lifeline, who looked to be all but done. And I'm not too sure what's going to happen with Russell Wilson as well. So if there is a veteran coach that's got a good defense, got some pretty good weapons and wants to run the ball, with a lot of respect, that he has a lot of respect for Rodgers over the years, then that could be, for me, probably the last destination for him.
But as you just said, they need weapons. The Rodgers isn't the man anymore.
No.
We've said this a couple of times on the show. But put him in with a good defense who can get him on the field at the right times, in the right positions, with some weapons. Who knows?
Run the ball. Cold weather. Used to that in Green Bay. That wouldn't bother him. They need to get a running back. I don't think Najee Harris is the solution moving forward.
And
George Pickens, I can see that relationship going sour real quick between those two. George Pickens is a different cat, and when you mix him with Aaron Rodgers, it's either going to go one way. It's going to be like Devonta Adams, or just completely fall off the cliff. I don't see that working. All right, let's move on to Matt Stafford. And we mentioned him before. There have been trade rumors around him due to the salary cap. His salary cap hit compared to other players and quarterbacks at the position. He's only got a couple of years left. Apparently, he wants to be upgraded. the Rams are not as inclined to do that at this part of his career. So there has been chat around trading both him and Cooper Kupp. This one comes from a very disgruntled Giants fan on Twitter. Strays, my health and well-being will never be safe with this organisation. With this organised crime syndicate running things, like what do you mean the third overall pick for a 40-year-old Matt Stafford? So he's added a bit of GST onto Matt Stafford. We had a look, 37 years old for Matt Stafford. But I am with you in Strays in saying that the third overall pick is way too much for Matt Stafford at this point of his career, who I still think has 2 to 3 good years left in him.
Yep.
But you're not giving him a premier pick like the third overall pick for Matt Stafford. No way.
But, well, the third overall pick, if you're not going to go for a quarterback at the moment, could be Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
You're not. He is. Well, I think he's going to be a great. We don't know where he's going to play. Whether he can play the both.
It's been clarified actually.
Oh, really?
He is going to play. He's going to be at the NFL draft combine as a DB, as a cornerback.
Okay,
that's where he's going to be practicing.
Well, even that, saying that, like he's going to be an unreal talent. So you could miss out on him. You're going to have to pay a 37-year-old probably north of 40 mil, that's a lot of money, man.
Yep. It's a huge portion of the cap too.
That is a lot. But as you said, I'm not saying that, Stafford isn't still a baller. We've said this many times on the show, but you know what I don't like that I've seen?
What's that?
Why is Matt Stafford's wife going on podcasts?
No, she's got her own podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Any podcast, don't care what it is, Levels, Hoops and Hits, wherever. Why is she speaking about the trade of Cooper Kupp and we're so close to the NFC?
Respectfully, to all the partners out there, if I was a sports athlete,
which you were,
which I was,
a great one,
and I had a partner, I would not allow her. And this is not only partners, so I'm not having a crack at women. My dad, my brothers, my mum, anyone in my close circle. Talking on my behalf or talking about the team that I was playing for. There's no way I wouldn't allow it. It happens all the time in the States. Remember when Odell Beckham come out and was putting up film about all the times Odell didn't get...
I know.
Like, that is a no-no as well.
Man.
That's a great... Give me that's a great... You should get it up for both of us.
That's double. That is.
Family members, partners, dads, talking on behalf of you or your franchise.
Oh, my.
If I was a GM or a coach, I'd get rid of him purely for that.
Yeah.
I don't want that noise.
Oh.
Talking too much.
Yeah, because you know what I used to say? Like, I've had to tell my dad, old Robbie Reynolds, he's thrown a few...
Shout out to Robbie.
Shout out, Robbie. He's thrown a few Facebook things up over the years. Rip it down right now. Like, rip it down. Because you don't have to walk into the building the next day. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Or something like, it's a funny one. Ripped off. Should have got man of the match.
Yeah.
Mate. No. Like, enough. Oh, man.
I love it.
Love it.
But we like you doing it as fans and talking to us on Twitter. Let's get to someone who's been talking crazy as well. Dak Prescott. He might even be talking more crazy than Kelly Stafford. Because Dak Prescott claims that they're very close to winning a Super Bowl. This is after the Eagles have gone on to win the Super Bowl in his in his own division. He's talking about how close they have been with the Eagles and where they're at now, and him missing some time. Are the Cowboys closer to a rebuild or a Super Bowl contender?
First things first, I just wanted to, is Prescott talking about the Dallas Cowboys or the North Queensland Cowboys? Because I think whatever he's doing in the off-season...
Who's got a better chance of winning? That's the new question. North Queensland Cowboys or Dallas Cowboys?
I think they're both about the same. But I just... How can you come out and talk about the champs? That we're close to them. Mate, you're not. Because you didn't even come second in the division.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right, good point.
Washington were way better than you. And I just think you haven't played in a Super Bowl in, I couldn't tell you how long.
I don't think they've made the playoff.
Yeah, I think it's like...
I don't think they've made the playoffs in about 4 or 5 years, yeah.
30 years like that. That is a long time. And to finish the season 7-10 and to come out and say that, yeah, I get it, mate. Like, you were out for a long time. But, yeah, the Cowboys have some massive problems that we've seen this year. They couldn't stop the run. They were terrible in the red zone. And I know Prescott was out, but they they are nowhere near competing with the Eagles or Washington.
Yeah, and I will just correct myself. They have made the playoffs recently, but they haven't had a playoff win in a number of years. I know that. That's confirmed. They've had good records in years past, and they had some really good years and then one and done. So, I think they're closer to a rebuild. I'm with you. I think they need to make some moves. They've got a lot of salary cap put into a couple of players, and that's crazy talking. I love that gift there from our man, Rolly Murr, on Twitter.
Also, Hoz, we've spoken about old Jerry. I think when Jerry's in control. I don't think
You can't envision any success why Jerry's still in control.
Because it's all about Jerry. It's not about it's not about the Cowboys. It's just for him to still have a platform. I don't think he does what's best for the organisation.
I'm with you. I think he does what's best for the team in terms of the growth of the Cowboys, but not the actual roster. All right, let's get to the stalemate. We have a huge question coming up for the previous champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, after they fall short of that three-peat, there have been questions around one of their biggest players. There's 2 to 3 players that take up the majority of the cap space for the Kansas City Chiefs, and one of them is Travis Kelce, a huge name for a number of reasons. Now, we got a message, 2 messages from Facebook. One's from Yancey Johnson. Great name, by the way, Yancey. His mind is not on football. And the next one is from Andrian, which is very close to Adrian, but Andrian TCE, down Super Bowl, not a down season. If you were in Travis's shoes, what would you do? So they can save some money if he does decide to retire. Can you see, here's another question. Can you see Travis Kelce playing for another team?
No.
Same. All right. Do you think Travis Kelce will retire?
No.
Okay.
I just...
One more year?
I disagree, though. I think he had a down season.
Yes.
He didn't have a great season.
Agreed.
It's not the Travis Kelce that we're used to. I was waiting for the Chiefs to play Travis Kelce ball in the playoffs, but they just didn't.
I thought he had a down year, but he was going to turn it on for the playoffs.
Yep.
He did have one really good game against the Texans, and then that's it.
But he just wasn't the same. And I think I said it last week. The Chiefs have got to go away from him being the man. But can they do that if he stays? Probably not. But if you get rid of him, what a hole it leaves. Do you sort of know what I'm saying? It's sort of a hard one. But I just think, for me, Hoz, thinking about when I was going to retire and when I wasn't going to retire, it was, do I still have the fire in my belly to turn up to training every day after? Look, I think the three-peat was a big, big carrot for them. They wanted that. They wanted to create history. But now you've done whatever you've done. You've got however many rings they've got.
Yeah.
Where's the fire come from now?
Well, I'll answer this. I think it could be legacy.
Okay.
When you start talking about the best tight ends of all time, he's definitely in the conversation. When you start comparing stats, because they're different sort of tight ends, completely different. You know, the couple of names that come up that are more recent are him and Gronk. Now, he has better numbers than Gronk, but Gronk did so much more that was crucial to what the Patriots are doing and even the Bucs in terms of run blocking. So when you talk about legacy, that's a reason to keep him on.
Point.
But also, in a way, with Yancey, his mind not being on football and what you're talking about, the fire, I could totally understand this. Outside of ESPN HOOPS HITS, their podcast is one of the biggest in the world, just behind us. Gridiron Heights, I think it's called, with him and his brother. And they get good coin as well, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Or just behind the Josh Reynolds podcast, too, by the way.
Yeah.
And when you have that sort of notoriety because of what's happening with Taylor Swift and the podcast is humming, and his brother Jason retired and he's killing it for ESPN and doing all that, then maybe it gets to the point where he starts looking, maybe the grass is greener on the other side. Maybe there is some life to be had, and do I want to take myself and get banged up in another preseason and go through a mini camp and then go through a strenuous season for one more? Do you want to have, the question is, does he think they can win the Super Bowl next year? And does he want to have one more run with his man Paddy? Because I think if he does go this year, this will 100% be his last.
You're right about the preseason. That is the way. That is what's going to be hard. In seasons is sweet, but it's like you said, you've got that podcast there. You've got a lot of good things. You're a good looking guy.
Good looking cat.
You know what I mean? You
Yep.
could get lots of sponsorships outside. Yeah, you do. You got to say, do I want to wake up and get absolutely banged by these young guys that are hungry as, or do I want to just go and live that life? But yeah, what does that say about his legacy? The one thing I do want to say also is I think we give him a bit of a hard time, especially here. His mind's not on football. I think the media portray this
100%,
because of Taylor.
yeah. Good point.
They put Taylor in all this, like, and they show him, bro, the bloke's in love.
Yeah.
Let him be in love.
Yeah.
It's better for you. Trust me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's better.
Distractions are good.
Comfort and going home to someone. It's nice. I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
People throw that out willy-nilly without knowing that people can have relationships in any different way or interests outside of the game, like a podcast, like a business, and still be able to focus. Sometimes, like you said, it's better to have distractions away from being just completely all NFL, all NBA, all rugby league sometimes. So I'm with you on that. But I think in my heart of hearts, I reckon he finishes up. I think there'll be some sort of marriage with ESPN, the Manning brothers, the Kelce brothers, doing something together next year because Jason killed it for ESPN, Travis will, and the Manning brothers have been killing it for the last couple of years.
I've got it. You just said marriage.
Yep.
You gave me an idea.
What do you got?
Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce get married, halftime of Super Bowl next year.
There were odds for Tab for that this year.
Why not?
Well, maybe if they'd won, maybe he had a ring ready to go just in case. That's why he's disappointed. Mate, is that a grub or no grub act? If having a ring just in case, but then you lose, so they're not following through on the proposal.
Yeah, that's not love. That's not love, mate. If you're gonna do it, do it.
All right, let's get to the Pick-6 presented by Tab. And we have our man Benyam, and he's going to preview the game between the Lakers and the Mavs, the first time since Luka has made the move to the LA Lakers. What do you got for us, Benyam?
The Los Angeles Lakers host the Dallas Mavericks at Crypto.com Arena in the first game of a 6-game homestand for the Lakers. But more importantly, it's the first meeting between these two teams since the earth-shattering Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis trade. Now, Anthony Davis will remain sidelined with an adductor injury, paving the way for Luka Doncic to put on a show, and I'm expecting him to send a message against his former team after being traded away from the place he called home for the past 7 years. Now, we all know what Luka Doncic is capable of when he has a point to prove, whether that's against the Sacramento Kings or the Phoenix Suns. Luka with a grudge is a problem, and I don't expect there to be any love lost between him and his former side. Now, the Lakers are heavy favourites on their home floor, and with the Mavs' injury struggles, plus the added spotlight of a nationally televised game, I'm backing the Lakers to win and Luka Doncic to shine. Get your popcorn ready. This one's going to be fun.
There we go. Luka, revenge game. And I say this responsibly, of course. I think the numbers, we will have odds for that game, unders, overs. Luka's going to be going after it. Triple doubles, he's done that before a number of times. I wonder what, I'm curious to see what role LeBron plays in this and how he just sort of sits back and lets Luka just do his work and take it all out on him.
Give him the keys.
Yeah, give him the keys
to
for
the
this
stadium.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the day he gives him the keys.
The Crypto.com stadium.
There you go. That was very, very insightful.
Yeah, very good.
God.
Benyam, he's one of the best in the game.
He's one of the best. He knows.
Benyam is the Cynthia of the NBA. There you go. That's how much Benyam knows what he's talking about.
So what? You're done with Cynthia now?
Cynthia is the NFL specialist, and we've got our man Benyam, NBA specialist.
So Cynthia left the show now.
She'll be back.
Okay.
We got some. Maybe there'll be some draft.
Yes.
Maybe there'll be some free agency chat.
Early Super Bowl picks for next year.
Ooh, or early, or we could be going number one draft pick, all that sort of chat coming up soon. So I'm sure she'll be back. But at the moment, we've got Benyam, and I'm excited to have him back. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
All right, Grub, that is it for this week. Heavy on the NBA, heavy on the All-Stars, a little sprinkle of NFL. The NFL just keeps on giving still. So American sports, that's why we love it, mate. It's all year round. It doesn't stop even in the off-season. We keep on going.
I absolutely love it. I was just thinking, if this game happens, World All-Stars versus American All-Stars, who are you supporting?
Ooh, World All-Stars.
World All-Stars?
I'm team World All-Stars, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. It would be very hard if my man Tyler Hero made it, though. I'd have to go with my man Tyler, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Instead of, like, what if Paddy Mills makes it?
I do have, Paddy.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
What about Australia's own Kyrie Irving?
what about that? Is
We'll
he
get
going
to
to be a
that.
boomer
Yeah.
next week? Maybe.
We'll get to that next week.